Hey guys, it's the weekend and you're watching a brand new episode of Smart Money, the live interactive query show where we take up all of your queries and talk about the top trending themes every week. First of all, thank you to each and every one of you for writing into us. And after much deliberation, we found out that this week's big theme of the week is work from home. All of us have been working from home for the last 4 to 5 months, but what are the behavioral changes in the post-COVID era and how do you as an investor make money? That's what we're going to be discussing in the next half an hour. So first up, let's take you through all the top headlines and then we'll go straight to our guest. Let's start with work from home, but how do you earn from home? That's what we're going to be talking about. Also, how can you capitalize on this theme? Does it have more to go? Are there any structural changes? What are the behavioral changes in Indians? We tell you what are the stocks that you need to watch out for and which sectors are likely to get impacted. Next up, COVID has led to an acceleration in adoption of technology. How do you play that theme? And finally, there's been an explosion in e-commerce sales in the last 5 months. What are the opportunities there? Of course, we'll be joined by our guest as well, but keep writing into us with the hashtag AskCNBCTV18 and we'll make sure to take up all of your queries on the show. So let's welcome our guest then. Gautam Trivedi, the co-founder and managing partner at Nepean Capital, joins in. In fact, Gautam, welcome to the show. Gautam was the one who really introduced us to this theme. So without wasting any time, let's go straight to him. Gautam, you know, it's interesting because this work from home theme is something that has played out over the last 5 months. Right now, there are still so many stocks and sectors that are doing well because of this. There is, there are IT stocks, there are telecom names. But you tell us, why did you pick this theme this week?
I think the fact is the first time in the history of India, you've seen Indians locked up in their homes for the last 5.5 to 6 months. It's never ever happened before. It's only happened obviously because of a once in a 100-year threat. And there is no cure until now. So as a result, we might be in for probably another 6 months or 5 months. So I think I'm personally convinced that that's led to a lot of behavioral changes in me, and I'm sure in a lot of us, some of which will be permanent, some of which will be semi-permanent.
Okay, that's interesting. So we want to focus on what the permanent behavioral changes will be, right? If you had to tell us about a few themes that you're working with, what would they be? I mean, we've all seen how IT stocks have played out, telecom stocks have played out, but what next, Gautam?
Well, I think a couple of things. You raise a very fair point. So one is sanitation. I think if you look back in 2014, literally within the first 12 months of Prime Minister Narendra Modi being sworn in, he launched the Swachh Bharat program, which was definitely needed in this country. Hygiene-wise, people were really not that careful. And I think COVID has basically accelerated that. So I see a huge explosion in demand, production, demand, and use for sanitization. So that I think is going to be a big driver of Swachh Bharat anyway. The second impact I would see would be in terms of entertainment. And I think that's an area which people have now gotten used to watching television from the comfort of their homes. And I don't mean television as in broadcast TV. I'm talking of OTT platforms, whether it's, and there are 30 of them out there. So not just Netflix or Amazon Prime, but there's so many others which are local firms. And I think people have gotten used to that watching movies. And guess what? Brand new movies are getting released. And I'm not talking of low budget. These are all, some of these are high budget movies. There's an Ajay Devgan movie, for example, which I believe is reportedly sold for 180 crores to one of the OTT platforms. And again, big budget movies are getting released. So would you rather watch them from the comfort of your home, or would you risk going to a movie theater? So I think a lot of this is starting to play out. And I think, like I said, some of these could be potentially permanent in nature.
Okay, I'm going to try and drill it down to the specifics. You spoke about two themes, sanitation and entertainment, and a lot has changed in these two themes. But before I drill it down to specific stocks, Gautam, we have a lot of queries coming in. So let me welcome our first viewer on board. Tushar Khurana joins in. He has a query. Tushar, go ahead. Welcome to the show. What is your query for Gautam?
My question is regarding the companies, the names of the companies which would be getting benefited from the work from home theme. So now I want to know both in the large cap and the mid cap segment, the companies on the digital front which would be getting benefited other than telecom, of course, And my next question is regarding the sector which is into product development and product designing. So what is the future outlook for these companies with the digital boom in place, and we have companies like Persistent Systems. So any views on that? Thank you.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Thanks a lot for that. Gautam, your thoughts here, because digital infrastructure stories have done very well, whether it's something like a Sterlite Tech, mid-cap IT names. In fact, a lot of the companies have told us that there is a big boom in digital infrastructure that they have noticed in terms of deal wins over the last many weeks. But you tell us, what are the top stocks that you would advise buying into now?
The thing is, first of all, when it comes to technology and the adoption of technology, COVID has clearly accelerated the pace at which people have adopted technologies. The way people, companies, government, everything's moving faster. For that matter, even the courts have adopted technology like never before. So I think what would have otherwise taken 3, 4, 5 years, it's happened in literally the last 5 to 6 months, which is the good news. But of course, the question is which stocks will benefit from this? And again, I'm going to go back to my large cap favorite, which is RIL, Reliance Industries. And as we know, Jio is now the largest component of the sum of the parts for Reliance Industries. And in the absence of any other way to play this from a large cap perspective, I think Reliance still remains my favorite, again, from a large cap perspective. Sterlite Tech you referred to, and I think the fact is it remains among the largest fiber optic players in the country. The Prime Minister has announced on the Independence Day that his aim, the way they have successfully electrified the nation, they are now going to go after fiberizing the entire nation. So I think that's a massive opportunity, and companies like Sterlite will benefit from that. And Sterlite, again, is a mid-cap stock at this point. The other one, clearly, which I think will benefit, again, one of the things that people have done a lot of in the last few months by working from home is ordering in. So I was looking at a report recently released where it said that online deliveries of food in the last 5.5 months have been 200 crores. So 200 crores deliveries across the country have taken place. And that's a massive number, right? So as a result, I think, again, we don't have too many listed companies in this space today. So Delivery, for example, or Zomato, unfortunately, they're not listed. So what better way than to play it by buying some of the companies, for example, Jubilant, which makes the Domino's pizzas, and a lot of people are ordering in food. And again, within the listed space, there are limited companies. Of course, the McDonald's company, Westlife Developers, is another way to play it. So I guess these are some of the themes that I can think of and recommend people should study and look at. Some of these stocks have run up, but I think there's more leg room.
Okay, just to take that theme forward, you were discussing how distance has now become completely irrelevant in this time and day and age where we use so much of Zoom, GeoMeet, and all of these apps to conduct our daily business. What happens with travel then? I mean, just to explore that theme further, business travel has almost come to a standstill. But how would you approach that theme, and any stocks that you could flesh out there?
Sure. You raise a very good point, because business travel indeed has come off significantly, probably up down 90-95%. But the fact is, at some point when there is indeed a cure, and we're talking of a post-COVID scenario, we, for example, in our fund, do not invest in any company without going and physically meeting the management. And we have companies, our investee companies are all over the country. We always go visit a plant if it's a manufacturing unit, or do a channel check with a branch if it's a financial institution. So given that, I think that travel element will significantly reduce, but for funds like us, who we really need to go and complete our due diligence before we buy a stock, we will have to travel, unfortunately or fortunately. So I think the impact on business travel will be severe, but I still think that the pent-up demand that's out there for tourist travel within the country, I'm not still sure when foreigners would be comfortable coming back into India, but domestic tourist travel, I think, will explode as well. So I think, again, going back to that, I would put my money on an Indian Hotels or an EIH, maybe even a Lemon Tree or Chalet. So I think the hotel properties, again, I think Indian Hotels to some extent has had a pretty good rally so far. Stocks at 105 or so from a low of about 65, so it's done very well. I think there's more leg room for some of these stocks to move up. But again, a lot depends on how long it takes to find a cure.
Okay, well, yeah, as they say nowadays, Lonavala has become the new London and Goa has become the new Ibiza, right? Everyone's looking to travel close by because they can't hop onto a flight. But we have another viewer joining in this work from home theme. We're getting a lot of queries pouring in. So Rahul Jaiswal is with us. He has a query. Go ahead.
My question is regarding the IT stocks. As we have seen in the last month that big IT stocks like TCS and Infosys have rallied a lot, or they have almost touched their 52 weeks high. So it is still a good idea to invest in these stocks. Will they further go up in the coming 2-3 months? And secondly, my second question is about the Mindspace IPO, which has recently launched. So considering the fact that now the IT companies are promoting more of work from home culture, with a company like this, is a good idea to invest, probably for a couple of years. Can I expect some good return in this company?
Okay, interesting question there on IT and on mid-cap IT. Gautam, go ahead, your advice to him.
Yeah, I think IT really is a great sector to be invested in at any point of time if you look over the last 25 to 30 years. The question really is, are these companies going to basically benefit from the entire COVID? And the way, and I'm saying this in a different sort of way, I think the work from home culture is best suited for the IT industry. And don't forget, in the United States, people have been working from home, i.e. within Silicon Valley, in the tech companies, for the last 10, 15 years. It's a newer phenomenon to India, but that's been prevalent in America for the last 10 to 15 years. In fact, I have a cousin who lives in San Jose, and he only goes into work once a week or once in 10 days when there's an urgent meeting. Otherwise, he's working from home and he's actually doing very well. I think his productivity is a lot better. Not to mention the fact that, even in India, TCS, Tech Mahindra, a lot of the Indian IT companies have basically announced plans of, in the next 3 to 4 years, 50 to 75% of their workforce may end up working from home. Now think of what that actually does to the P&L of the IT companies. You need significantly less commercial real estate. You need to spend less on electricity, or water, utilities in general, transportation if you're providing transport to employees, and that comes straight to your bottom line. So I think the reality is that this is most suited for the IT industry. Now to your second question, which you asked with respect to Mindspace. My concern really is, I think Mindspace is a well-run company, great promoters, everything's great. But there was an article only last week in the Times of India which said that in the last 12 months or so, Indian companies have given up office space equivalent to 76 football fields, which equates to roughly 6 million square feet of grade A commercial real estate. So that, I think, is clearly a concern at the back of anyone's mind when you're looking at investing in either a REIT or a property company. My personal view is Mindspace, like I said, is still a well-run company. Maybe some of the occupancy that we're starting to see within the commercial real estate space will be taken up by newer companies who are coming to India, making India a second destination after China, and putting up manufacturing units here. So hopefully some of that slack will be taken up, but I think that is a concern. The commercial real estate problem is not just an India problem, it's a global problem. And even in the United States, companies are increasingly talking about it.
Okay, all right. So let's do one thing. Let's take a quick break on that note. We've discussed many themes, right? But when we come back, the explosion in the e-commerce space and the complete change in entertainment, that's going to be our topics in the next few minutes. Also keep sending in your queries. Use the hashtag AskCNBCTV18 and we'll make sure we answer them.